Dr. Kate Morrison wiped the sweat from her forehead as she crouched beside the massive claw marks carved deep into metallic bark of a Titan 7 tree. 6 months on this alien world had taught her to read these signs like a book. The scratches were fresh, still oozing that strange blue sap the trees produce when wounded. Whatever made these marks was big, fast, and hunting nearby. Kate pulled out her scanner and ran it over the gouges. The readings made her pulse quicken. The claw spacing suggested a predator nearly twice the size of Earth's largest tigers, but the depth of the cuts indicated strength that would make a grizzly bear look weak. She'd been tracking this particular species for weeks, but they were smart enough to stay hidden during her daylight surveys. Her research station sat 3 miles away through dense alien forest. It wasn't much to look at, just a prefab shelter with solar panels and a communication array. But it was home. More importantly, it was where she stored 6 months of groundbreaking research on Titan 7's ecosystem. Data that could change everything humans knew about predator evolution. What Kate didn't know was that her work had already changed things for the planet's native inhabitants. In the shadow city of Morketh, built into the living rock of Titan 7's northern mountains, the HFY War Council gathered in emergency session. These weren't the primitive aliens that early human scouts had reported. The HFY had simply chosen to remain hidden, watching the newcomers from Earth with growing concern. Elder Tom Nash stood before the circular chamber, his 4 arms crossed in the traditional pose of judgment. His scaled hide bore the ritual scars of countless battles, and his yellow eyes held the wisdom of 3 centuries. Around him, 12 other council members waited in tense silence. The human female grows bolder. Tom Nash spoke in her clicking language. Her metal devices probe deeper into our sacred hunting grounds each day. She maps the movements of our blood-bonded predators. She records their mating calls, their feeding patterns, their den locations. Council member Vextar leaned forward, her own battle scars gleaming in the chamber's bioluminescent light. Perhaps she seeks only knowledge, as her kind often claims. Knowledge is power, Tom Nash replied sharply. And power over our predators is power over our people. For 10,000 years, we have maintained the blood bond with the great hunters. They protect our borders in exchange for tribute and respect. If the humans learn to control them, the implications hung heavy in the chamber. The HFY's entire civilization was built around their mystical connection with Titan 7's apex predators. Their warriors earned status by surviving encounters with these creatures. Their shamans interpret their behavior to guide tribal decisions. Their very identity was intertwined with the great hunters of their world. She must be stopped, another council member hissed. But how? Human technology is strong, their weapons deadly. Tom Nash smiled, revealing rows of needle-sharp teeth. We need no human weapons. We have something far more effective. He gestured to the chamber's center, where a holographic display showed the deep caves beneath Morketh. In the darkest depths, something massive stirred. The Night Stalker, a creature so feared that even the HFY spoke of it only in whispers. The Blood Debt Protocol has not been invoked in 50 years. Vextar said nervously, "Are we certain this is necessary?" "The human threatens our entire way of life," Tom Nash declared. "The Night Stalker exists for exactly this purpose. It has never failed to complete an assignment, not once in recorded history." The council members exchanged glances. Everyone knew the legends. The Night Stalker was no ordinary predator. It was something else entirely, larger than any natural creature, faster than seemed possible, and intelligent enough to track prey across entire continents. Some whispered it was a result of ancient HFY genetic experiments. Others claimed it was a gift from their gods. Tom Nash continued, "We will give it the human scent. Her research devices have touched everything in her territory. The trail will be impossible to miss. The Night Stalker will hunt her down and end this threat to our people. And if other humans come looking for her?" Vextar asked. "They will find only wilderness. No trace of their scientist. The Night Stalker is thorough in its work." As the council voted, Kate Morrison was 30 miles away, completely unaware of the death sentence hanging over her head. She sat in her research station, uploading the day's data to her computers and reviewing footage of the magnificent predators she'd been studying. To her, they were beautiful examples of evolutionary perfection. She had no idea they were sacred to an entire civilization. Outside her station, the alien forest grew dark as Titan VII's twin sun set behind the mountains. Somewhere in those depths, the greatest hunter their world had ever known was already on her trail. The first sign that something was hunting Kate came at dawn on her 23rd day alone in the Titan VII wilderness. She'd been collecting soil samples near a cluster of crystal formations when her motion sensors started going crazy. Not the usual alerts from curious herbivores or scavenging creatures. This was different. Something big was moving through the forest, staying just outside her equipment's range. Kate checked her readings 3 times before accepting what the data showed. Whatever was out there weighed at least 800 pounds and moved with the calculated stealth of an apex predator. It had been circling her research station for hours, learning her routines, studying her patterns like she'd been studying the local wildlife. For 3 days, the invisible stalker followed her every move. Kate tried to convince herself it was just another research opportunity. She'd come to Titan VII to study predators, after all. But something about this felt different. Her equipment registered the creature's presence, but she never caught so much as a glimpse of it. That level of stealth suggested intelligence far beyond anything she'd encountered on this world. On the 4th night, Kate sat in her research station, reviewing footage from her outdoor cameras. The alien forest looked peaceful under Titan VII's starlight, but her sensors told a different story. Something massive was moving through the trees, getting closer with each passing hour. She could trace its path by the way smaller creatures fled from areas moments before her motion detectors triggered. Kate's hand shook slightly as she adjusted her equipment settings. She'd studied predators her entire career, but she'd never been to prey before. The rational part of her mind cataloged behavioral patterns and hunting strategies. The human part just wanted to run. At exactly 3 a.m, her perimeter alarm screamed. Kate's blood turned to ice as she saw it through her station's reinforced windows. The Night Stalker stood 15 feet away, perfectly still in the artificial lights surrounding her shelter. It was enormous, easily 12 feet from nose to tail, with muscle definition that made Earth's big cats look fragile. Its hide was midnight black with patches that seemed to absorb light completely, making it appear to shift and float even when motionless. But it was the eyes that made Kate's breath catch. They glowed with an intelligence that was definitely not animal. This creature was thinking, calculating, planning. It tilted its massive head and studied her through the transparent aluminum windows like she was a puzzle to solve. Instead of panicking, Kate did something that probably saved her life. She grabbed her recording equipment and started documenting what she saw. Years of scientific training kicked in, overriding her fear with professional curiosity. She narrated observations into her voice recorder while keeping her movements slow and non-threatening. Subject appears to be an apex predator. Species unknown, she whispered into her microphone. Estimated weight 400 kilograms. Demonstrates clear signs of advanced intelligence. Body language suggests assessment rather than immediate attack posture. The Night Stalker's ears twitched at the sound of her voice. It took a step closer, then stopped when Kate continued speaking in the same calm, measured tone she used for all her research logs. That's when Kate noticed something crucial. The creature was favoring its right rear leg, and dark stains matted the fur along its left flank. As it moved into better light, she could see the wounds clearly. Deep gashes crossed its side, and one ear was torn nearly in half. This wasn't just any predator. This was an injured animal, far from whatever pack or territory called home. Kate's perspective shifted completely. She'd spent months studying pack hunters on Titan VII. They were social creatures that relied on group coordination for successful hunts. A solitary predator this size, especially one carrying serious injuries, was probably desperate. Desperation made any animal dangerous, but it also made them vulnerable. The Night Stalker circled her station with that strange limping gait, testing the structure's integrity. Kate watched its behavior patterns, noting how it checked each potential entry point with methodical precision. This wasn't random animal aggression. This was strategic thinking. Pack hunting behavior displayed by a solitary individual. Kate continued recording. Suggests recent separation from group. Injuries appear consistent with territorial conflict or failed hunt attempt. As she spoke, the creature stopped its circling and fixed those glowing eyes on her again. For a moment that felt like hours, predator and prey studied each other through the barrier of human technology. Kate realized she was looking at something extraordinary. Not just another alien life form, but possibly the most intelligent non-human creature she'd ever encountered. The Night Stalker made its decision. With fluid grace that contradicted its injuries, it leaped onto the station's roof. Kate's reinforced shelter groaned under the impact, but held through the ceiling. She could hear claws testing the solar panel mountings and ventilation systems. Kate Morrison was no longer a scientist studying alien predators. She was prey, trapped in a metal box while one of the most dangerous creatures on Titan. Seven figured out how to get inside, but instead of terror, she felt something unexpected: fascination. The sound of claws scraping against metal echoed through Kate's research station as the Night Stalker tested every possible entry point. She sat perfectly still, watching its massive shadow move across her windows. Her heart hammered against her ribs, but her mind was working overtime, processing everything she'd learned about predator behavior during her years of study. Most people would have reached for a weapon. Kate's station had emergency supplies, including a plasma rifle designed to stop charging megafauna. But something held her back. Maybe it was scientific curiosity, or maybe it was the way the creature moved. Not with the confident aggression of a healthy apex predator, but with the cautious desperation of something in serious trouble. The Night Stalker's wounds were getting worse. Even in the dim light, Kate could see fresh blood seeping through its dark fur. The gashes along its side had the telltale signs of infection, swollen edges, and that particular way injured animals held themselves when fighting fever. On Earth, she'd seen lions and tigers with similar injuries. Without treatment, they always died slow, painful deaths. Kate made a decision that would have seemed insane to anyone else. She slowly stood up and moved toward her station's emergency airlock. The Night Stalker immediately stopped its prowling and focused those glowing eyes on her every movement. She could feel its attention like a physical weight. "Easy there, big guy," Kate whispered, her voice barely audible through the station's walls. "I know you're hurting." She activated her suit's external speakers, so the creature could hear her clearly. Years of working with dangerous animals had taught her that tone mattered more than words. She kept her voice low and steady, the same calming rhythm she'd used with injured bears in Alaska and wounded rhinos in Africa. The Night Stalker tilted its massive head, those intelligent eyes tracking her every gesture. Kate could see the exact moment when confusion replaced hunting instinct. This wasn't how prey was supposed to behave. Prey ran or fought or cowered in fear. Prey didn't speak in soothing voices while moving deliberately toward danger. Kate opened her medical supply locker and began gathering what she needed: antibiotic gel, wound sealant, pain medication strong enough to work on alien physiology. Her hands shook as she loaded everything into a field kit, but her voice remained steady. "I've seen wounds like yours before," she continued talking. "Territorial fights, right? You lost, or maybe your pack kicked you out. Those cuts are infected, and that leg isn't going to support your weight much longer." The creature had gone completely still, watching her with an intensity that made her skin crawl. Kate knew she was taking an enormous risk. Everything about the situation violated basic safety protocols. But her scientific instincts told her something remarkable was happening here. She slowly opened the station's outer door. The Night Stalker could have killed her in that instant. It was less than 10 feet away, and despite its injuries, it was still one of the most dangerous predators on Titan VII. Instead, it took a single step backward, giving her space. That simple gesture told Kate everything she needed to know about its intelligence level. "That's it," she said softly, stepping outside with her medical kit. "I'm not here to hurt you." Kate had worked with wild animals her entire career, but she'd never attempted anything like this. The Night Stalker was easily 4 times her size, with claws that could shred her environmental suit like paper. But it was also clearly in pain, and pain was something she understood regardless of species. She knelt down about 6 feet away and opened her medical kit. The creature watched every movement, its body language shifting from hunting mode to something Kate had never seen in a wild predator. Curiosity mixed with desperate hope. "Those wounds need cleaning," Kate explained, holding up a bottle of antiseptic solution. "This might sting a bit, but it'll help with the infection." The night stalker sniffed the air, processing her scent and the chemical smell of the medicines. Kate could see the war playing out in its eyes. Instinct versus intelligence, mission versus self-preservation. Whatever it had been sent to do was being overridden by something more basic, the universal desire to survive. Kate took a calculated risk. She opened one of her emergency ration packs and tossed a protein bar halfway between them. The creature's nose twitched at the unfamiliar smell. Then it carefully approached the offering. When it ate the food without any ill effects, Kate saw something extraordinary happen. The Night Stalker's aggressive posture melted away completely. For the first time since it had appeared, it looked less like a weapon and more like what it really was, a badly injured animal far from home. Kate inched closer with her medical supplies. "Let me help you," she whispered. "I promise I won't hurt you." The greatest predator on Titan, Seven lowered its massive head and allowed a human to approach its wounds. 3 days after the Night Stalker had disappeared into the wilderness with its death mission, Vorthak scout leader Keth Moore led his hunting party through the dense forest toward Kate's research station. He carried the ceremonial bone knife used for collecting trophy skulls, while his warriors bore the ritual containers needed for gathering human remains. The mission was supposed to be simple: find whatever pieces the Night Stalker had left behind, perform the cleansing rituals, and return to Morketh with proof that the human threat had been eliminated. In 50 years of recorded history, no creature had ever survived a Night Stalker encounter. The scouts expected to find scattered bones and maybe some damaged equipment. What they discovered instead would shake their civilization to its core. Keth Moore stopped dead in his tracks when he saw movement through the trees ahead. His warriors immediately dropped into combat positions, weapons ready. Something was approaching through the forest, moving with a distinctive gait they all recognized. The Night Stalker was returning home, but something was terribly wrong. The massive predator wasn't alone. Walking beside it, completely unharmed and apparently unafraid, was a human female they'd been sent to eliminate. Kate Morrison moved with easy confidence next to the most feared creature on their world, occasionally reaching out to touch its flank in what could only be described as an affectionate gesture. "Impossible," whispered Nexrin, the youngest scout in their group. "The human should be dead. The Night Stalker never fails." Keth Moore's 4 eyes blinked rapidly as he tried to process what he was seeing. The Night Stalker carried Kate's research equipment in its massive jaws, not as hunting trophies, but carefully, gently, the way pack animals carried supplies to their group. The creature's posture showed none of the aggressive dominance typical after a successful hunt. Instead, it moved like a partner, a companion. The human woman was talking to Predator in those strange vocal sounds or species used for communication. Even more shocking, the Night Stalker was responding. Its ears twitched at her words, and it adjusted its pace to match her shorter stride. When Kate pointed towards something in the forest canopy, the creature actually looked where she indicated, showing interest in her observations. "Warriors of the Blood Hunt," Keth Moore commanded in their ancient tongue, "ready your weapons. Something dark has happened here." But even as he spoke, doubt crept into his voice. There was no sign of struggle, no evidence of battle. Kate's clothes were intact, her equipment undamaged. She bore no wounds, showed no fear. This wasn't a capture or coercion. This was partnership. Kate noticed the Vorthak scouts before her companion did. She'd been expecting this moment ever since she and the Night Stalker, whom she'd begun calling Ghost for its silent movement, had started the journey back toward civilization. Her universal translator picked up fragments of their clicking language, enough to understand their shock and confusion. "Easy, Ghost," Kate murmured, placing a calming hand on the creature's shoulder. "These are your people, remember? The ones who sent you to find me." The Night Stalker's muscles tensed as it detected the Vorthak presence. Kate could feel the conflict in its body language, ingrained loyalty to its handlers warring against its newfound bond with her. For a moment, she worried it might revert to its original programming. Instead, Ghost made a decision that would change everything. The massive predator moved protectively in front of Kate, not to hide prey from the scouts, but to shield a pack member from potential threats. Its growl carried a clear warning: approach the human and face the consequences. Keth Moore nearly dropped his ceremonial knife. In 3 centuries of Vorthak history, no Night Stalker had ever protected its assigned target. These creatures were weapons, tools of execution, not guardians. Yet here stood their most sacred hunter, defending the very human it had been sent to kill. Kate stepped around Ghost's protective bulk, keeping one hand on its flank for reassurance. She'd learned enough Vorthak phrases from her linguistic databases to attempt communication. "I greet the warriors of stone and shadow," she said in their clicking language, pronouncing each word carefully. "I return with your great hunter, who has shown me the wisdom of your people." The scouts exchanged bewildered glances. The human was speaking their tongue, however poorly, and showing them the traditional respect greeting used between allied tribes. Nothing about this situation made sense according to their worldview. Ghost nuzzled Kate's shoulder gently, then lifted its massive head toward the Vorthak scouts. The sound it made wasn't the victory roar they expected after a successful hunt. It was a complex vocalization used when pack members returned to the den with important news. Nexrin's weapon slipped from nerveless fingers. "Elder Keth Moore," he whispered, "the Night Stalker speaks to us as kin-friend, not as weapon tool. And the human, she bears no death scent. How is this possible?" Keth Moore stared at the impossible sight before him. Everything he believed about human nature, about Night Stalker behavior, about the natural order of their world, crumbled in the face of this unprecedented alliance. The mission to collect a dead human had become something far more complicated, a first contact scenario that no Vorthak had ever imagined possible. The emergency council session in Morketh had been going on for 6 hours, and Elder Tom Nash felt every one of his 300 years weighing on his shoulders. The circular chamber buzzed with heated debate as council members tried to process what Scout leader Keth Moore had reported. Some called for immediate military action. Others demanded the Night Stalker be destroyed for failing its mission. A few whispered that dark magic was involved. Tom Nash studied the holographic recordings Keth Moore had captured during his encounter with Kate and the Night Stalker. The images showed something that shouldn't exist according to everything the Vorthak understood about their world. Their most sacred predator, the ultimate weapon of their civilization, was behaving like a domesticated companion animal. "Show me the healing sequence again," Tom Nash commanded. The hologram shifted the footage of Kate treating the Night Stalker's infected wounds. The council watched in stunned silence as the human female used unknown medicines to clean deep gashes that would have killed any Vorthak warrior. More shocking still was the creature's behavior. It held perfectly still while Kate worked, occasionally making soft sound of gratitude. This could not be natural behavior. Council member Vextar insisted. The human must be using mind control technology. "Look at the predator's eyes," Tom Nash replied quietly. "Does that appear to be the gaze of a controlled animal? Or does it look like trust?" The word hung in the chamber like a forbidden curse. Trust between species was a concept the Vorthak had never seriously considered. Their entire relationship with other life forms was based on dominance, territory, and survival. The idea that a human might earn genuine loyalty from their greatest hunter challenged the foundation of their society. A communication alert interrupted the debate. Kate Morrison was requesting permission to enter Morketh under a flag of truce, accompanied by what she called her research partner. The audacity of the request sent several council members into angry fits, but Tom Nash found himself curious rather than offended. Let her come, he decided, but under heavy guard. 2 days later, Kate walked to the massive stone gates of Morketh with Ghost padding silently beside her. She'd spent every waking moment since leaving her research station learning more Vorthak language from her translation programs. The effort was paying off. She could now communicate basic concepts without embarrassing herself too badly. The Vorthak citizens who lined the streets to watch her passage showed a mixture of fear, curiosity, and outright disbelief. Many had never seen a human before, and none had imagined one could walk peacefully among them with a Night Stalker as a companion. In the council chamber, Kate stood before the assembled elders with Ghost at her side. The massive predator's presence filled the room with tension, but it made no aggressive moves. Instead, it seemed almost bored by the proceedings, occasionally yawning or shifting position, like a patient dog waiting for its owner to finish business. Honored elders, Kate began in carefully practiced Vortak. I come to share knowledge that benefits all who live on this world. Tom Nash leaned forward in a ceremonial chair. You were sent to die, human. Instead, you have corrupted our greatest weapon. Explain this violation of natural law. Kate had prepared for this question. She activated her portable holographic display and began showing her research data. 6 months of detailed observations about Titan VII's ecosystem. But instead of dry scientific facts, she focused on information that directly related to Vortak concerns. Your hunting grounds are changing, Kate explained, highlighting migration patterns on her display. Climate shifts are driving prey animals to new territories. The traditional hunting ranges your people have used for generations will be empty within 5 years. The council members exchanged worried glances. Food scarcity was a constant concern for the civilization, but they'd never had access to this kind of long-term environmental data. Kate continued, but there are new hunting grounds opening in the eastern valleys. My studies show massive herds gathering there, more game than your current territories have ever supported. Why would you share this information? Vextar demanded suspiciously. What do you gain by helping us? Kate gestured at Ghost, who responded by moving closer to her side. Because I've learned that cooperation works better than conflict. Your companion here, she scratched behind the creature's ears affectionately, has taught me more about predator behavior in 3 days than I learned in 3 months of solo research. Tom Nash watched this interaction with growing fascination. The Night Stalker was clearly enjoying Kate's attention, making soft, rumbling sounds that resembled contentment. Its behavior contradicted everything the Vortak believed about their sacred predators. You propose an alliance, Tom Nash said slowly. Humans and Vortak working together. I propose survival, Kate replied. Your people understand this world in ways my technology never could. My research can predict changes that your traditional methods might miss. Together, we can ensure both our species thrive instead of just surviving. She activated another display showing population projections, resource availability, and environmental trends. The data painted a clear picture. Isolated, both species face challenging futures. Combined, they could overcome obstacles that would defeat either group alone. Ghost suddenly lifted its head and made a complex series of vocalizations toward the council. Tom Nash's eyes widened as he recognized the traditional sound pattern used by pack leaders when announcing important territorial discoveries. The Night Stalker supports a proposal, he whispered in amazement. For the first time in Vortak history, their greatest predator was advocating for peace instead of war.